for your health. Medically Speaking, next on WSPC Cable 4.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Jim Smolko. Welcome to Medically Speaking. Medically Speaking is a public service program brought to you by the York County Medical Society and WSPC Cable 4 Television of York. Thank you for joining us. WSPC has presented this program. This is a call-in program, and Rhonda Reininger, the Executive Secretary of the York County Medical Society, is standing by to take your questions and comments at 846-9595, so please contact us. The purpose of our program is to provide you with information that in some way will add to your health and well-being. Certainly the health and well-being of no one else in our society is probably more important to us than the health and well-being of our children. We all want our children to be healthy, we all want our kids to be safe. And actually next week, which is May 8th to the 14th, has been designated as National Safe Kids Week. In actuality, the greatest health hazard for children under the age of 14 or so is unintentional injury. This evening our guest is Mrs. Dee Carbaugh, who is the co-chairman of the York County Coalition of Safe Kids. Dee is a nurse. She did her diploma training at Lancaster General Hospital School of Nursing, got her Bachelor of Science in Nursing from Westchester University, worked for 6 years as a trauma intensive care unit nurse, and presently works as an education specialist in the York Hospital operating room. Actually, Dee and I work together, so I am going to call her Dee. So Dee, tell us a little bit about Safe Kids, what it's all about, and how you personally got involved in this organization.
Thank you. Safe Kids is an organization that was developed in 1988, and I got involved in it personally in about 1990. I became involved in it because of, as you had alluded to before, I was a trauma ICU nurse, and I took care of a woman, a grandmother, who was holding her 7-month-old baby grandson in her arms and was involved in an automobile accident. He was killed, and she was in my intensive care unit, and I took care of her. She was under my care for about 3 or 4 days, and every day she made me promise to her, excuse me, I get a little emotional when I remember it. Every day she made me promise that I would do my best in my career to prevent that from happening to anyone else. So when I heard about Safe Kids, I heard about it through work that I was doing in intensive care, and also I heard a couple things on the television. President Bush made some advertisement or whatever about Safe Kids. So when I heard about it, I knew that that would be my mission to help.
This is a national organization too, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
I mean, obviously for our kids to be safe requires we, the adults, to take the lead. Obviously the children are kind of just part of what we need to do for them.
Right.
How did this get started? Who got it going?
Like I said, it started in 1988, and Johnson & Johnson is the corporate backing for the program. C. Everett Koop was the Surgeon General at the time, and he has a vested interest in pediatrics. He was one of the motivators in getting it all started. And the focus of it is to provide education to parents and to adults to prevent unintentional injury, which, like you said, is the #1 killer of children.
And how do they approach this? How does the organization set up? And
there's a national organization that is out of the Children's National Medical Center in D.C. And they coordinate all of the state levels, and there is one in Pennsylvania that the local level then, how do I want to say that, that the local level answers to or uses for guidance. They provide us with information, educational information. They encourage us to work legislatively to help manufacturers of toys or car seats or other manufacturers to work to prevent injury to children.
So many times this national organization feels that it's necessary to put some pressure maybe on some of our public officials to make public policy that has to deal with childhood prevention.
To make the right decisions.
Right. What are some of the things that might be involved that legislatively are important? Car seats, whatever.
Right. Recently, in 1992 or 1993, Pennsylvania passed a law that all children age 4 and under must be in some sort of safety seat. And that is one of our local coalition goals also. Safe Kids was behind that and encouraged, it used to be under 40 pounds, and then you had those children between those ages, weights of 40 pounds, and if they're 4 years old, and all these questions. So anyone 4 years and younger must be in some sort of safety seat in a vehicle.
Now, we talked about one of the leading health hazards of children is unintentional injury. Avoiding the word accident.
Yes.
What does Safe Kids feel, or how do they feel about the difference between unintentional injury and accident?
We don't like to use the term accident because accident implies that there is no one to blame, and that, well, maybe not even blame, that might not be the term, but that it just happens. And we all know that that is not the case, that many, many injuries are preventable. And through education, we can prevent those injuries. So that's why we don't use accident. It's unintentional injury.
Now, I often say to my own children and even friends that there are lots of things out there kind of waiting to get you. And when we talk about unintentional injury, particularly when it deals with kids and kid safety, let's just run through some of the more common things that you're focused on that are hazards to children, or that can provide the seed for unintentional injury.
In this area, it's just like any other area, and motor vehicle crashes, fires, burns, any kind of pedestrian bicycle injury are the top ones.
Drowning?
Yeah, drowning is one. It's not as common, but yes, it is one.
And we see a lot of our children now, Safe Kids must be somewhat effective, among other things, because we see a lot of the children out there now, they have their helmets, they have their knee pads. Is this all part of some of the work that
Yes.
Safe Kids has been involved in?
Yes, I might have forgotten helmets, but yes, that is true. Helmets is our major preventer of head injury. Pardon me. Our children's heads are larger, the larger body surface area, and if you protect their head, you can't replace what's in there. So that's a large part of what we try to teach children and parents. I have a friend who lives in a neighborhood, and she is an ICU nurse also, and her kids didn't want to wear helmets because they weren't cool. And this mother got all of the mothers together and said, hey, do you realize these statistics that this is where kids are injured on their bikes? And
okay, we're going to talk about statistics in our next segment. Right now we have to take a short intermission, so please stay tuned. We'll be back talking about some of the things that jeopardize the health and well-being of our children. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Have you ever dreamed of becoming a professional hairstylist, a manicurist, or maybe even someday owning your own salon? Then call International Beauty Schools. We can put you into an exciting and rewarding career in cosmetology. Convenient class schedules are available, as well as financial aid for those who qualify. Get a career with a future. Call International Beauty Schools for program information and financial aid possibilities.
To start your new and exciting career, call International Beauty School now.
Hello, I'm Joan Dyfel.
And I'm Rita Hewitt.
Our program, Faith is Alive, is pleased to be in its 10th year of bringing you very diverse programs.
Our guests tell you about their faith and their action in the community. Educational programs, music programs, children's music, and also current happenings here in York.
This year we have more exciting programs planned, so won't you join us here only on WSPC Cable 4.
Show me a 300 on a scorecard and I'll show you a ticked-off caddy. A team with a 300 average could make the playoffs. At 300 miles an hour, well... And a 300 batting average is just that, average. But throw a 300 on the lanes and you've got a perfect game. And we've got one for you, 12 in a row, only on WSPC. Catch the York Mail Service PBA Eastern Region Open.
Hi, I'm Christy Martin, and I'm Miss Makita for 1993. Be sure to watch Beyond the Drawing Board only on WSPC Cable 4.
I'm Dr. Jim Smolko. This is Medically Speaking. Welcome back. For those of you who have just joined us, we're discussing Safe Kids tonight with the York County Coalition co-chairman of the Safe Kids organization, Dee Carbaugh. Before we go into some of the statistics about those things which jeopardize the health and well-being of our children, we're going to answer a few questions from some of our audience. This is a caller who is a parent of a 9-year-old. And she's upset that school buses do not have seat belts. Is the Safe Kids program working on this, or what's their stand on this? How do you feel about this?
Okay. School buses do not have seat belts for several reasons. The way that school, and this is how it was explained to me because I had the same sort of concern, seat belts in a school bus cannot be attached properly to the base of the school bus. In a car, it's built differently. So when a seat belt is attached, the only thing it could be attached to would be the seat, not into the base of the car. So therefore, they would not really provide that much protection for the children. Actually, it is felt through studies that they would harm the children more than not. And that leads into the second reason. And unfortunately, we all know that children use things as tools against one another sometimes when they don't understand, how they can hurt each other. And the feeling is if there would be seat belts, they could hurt each other by hitting each other with them. Also, what was done through not through Safe Kids, but through other groups, they now have school buses that have very high seats. And that is to prevent the children from flying from one seat to the next so that they impact to the seat right in front of them. And it is not very far, actually. And that is a more effective way of restraining them than a seat belt that is attached to the seat or...
So there has been some attention paid to safety in school buses.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm sure that a lot of the focus is on the drivers and choosing safe drivers and impressing them.
Right.
Okay. Here we have another question from a caller regarding why are seatbelt laws only enforceable when the driver stopped for some other reason? I'm not sure. Do you have any idea what the seatbelt laws are about?
I do understand the seatbelt laws. I'm not exactly sure what the caller is referring to there. Anytime an officer stops you for an offense, speeding or whatever, and you do not have your seatbelt on, you can be fined. It is, that might be what they mean. Maybe they were involved in an accident and...
In other words, they can't stop you if a policeman notices that you're not doing anything wrong, you're doing everything correctly, but they notice that the child doesn't have a seatbelt. They can't stop you?
The child is different. An adult, as far as I understand, it's not a primary offense, but a child must be restrained.
So if a policeman sees an unrestrained child in a car,
he can stop them. Now,
stop him.
I'm not exactly sure if they can find them or not. That I'm sorry, I can't answer.
They could stop them and
yes,
and
and address
them.
the issue. Yes.
Okay, I hope that's helpful for
I hope
the
so.
viewer.
Yes.
Now, before we go on, let's just spend a couple minutes here, Dee, and talk a little bit about the magnitude of the hazards to our children. Just how many kids are hurt and injured and even killed by these unintentional injuries in the course of a year?
Well, it's staggering to me, and I'm sure it will be to anyone listening. It's estimated that 8,000 children are killed each year as a result of unintentional injury. And unintentional injury kills more children than any other childhood disease combined, anything else combined. There's an estimated 50,000, and this is probably very low, 50,000 children that are permanently disabled each year due to unintentional injury. That's a lot of kids.
Right, and there are a lot of reasons why that happens. As we talked about, there's, of course, all of the sporting things represent some degree of injury. Swimming, working in your yard with lawnmowers, and you know, you could go on and on. Toys, many of the toys that are produced can be dangerous. Now,
Burns.
How can a responsible parent or grandparent or friend or anybody provide some sort of safety program for their children without scaring them to death, without making them afraid to go out of the house? Does Safe Kids deal with that sort of thing?
Yes, actually, this is what I think is very attractive about Safe Kids. We put out magazines, activity books, etc., that deal with the fun aspect of wearing helmets, why it's cool, so to speak, how to teach your child how to cross a street, how to obey the traffic signals, how to walk with a friend, how to be safe with strangers, and on, how to dial 911, and it's all fun. We have many other publications also that are distributed, but this is, you know, what we try to do.
You and I were talking earlier that it is certainly the responsibility of the adults to make things safe for the kids, but we also, I think, alluded to the fact that don't underestimate the children either, because they, as you have learned through Safe Kids, kids want to be safe too.
They do.
And they sometimes are more committed to it than the adults. As you mentioned, the little kids will remind their parents, you know, put your seatbelt on. This car doesn't go till the seatbelts are on, and so on.
Seatbelts are on.
But there is that fine line between trying to provide a safe environment for the children without making them so fearful that they're paralyzed in their ability to do anything. We got off the organization of Safe Kids a little bit. You said it's a national organization. You have obviously a local York County coalition. Do you encourage membership in Safe Kids, or how do people become members? What are the benefits of becoming a member?
Okay. Our local coalition is open to anyone at all, and there is no membership fee. What we provide is networking for anyone who becomes a member. And what I mean by networking is there are many different members, people from the Spanish American Center, people from health promotions, people from wellness centers, and teachers, nurses, physicians, that all get together, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and we provide a resource directory for educational programs. So in joining, you become a member of our, and you are attached to our mailing list, and then you are notified of our meetings, and when you attend meetings, you can learn what's going on in the community.
Okay, we're going to stop for a break. We'll be back in just a moment. Please stay tuned.
How can I get a better return for my money?
Will I ever be able to retire? Does it pay to refinance my mortgage?
Should all of my assets be jointly titled?
What can I do to reduce my income tax?
Making Sense Out of Dollars live Wednesday nights at 9.
Watch all my leading men on Big Picks.
In order to provide a state-of-the-art telecommunications network to our customers, Cable TV of York will undergo a fiber optic system rebuild. The results of the rebuild will include better picture quality, increased service reliability, expanded channel capacity, and the potential for new services. These service interruptions may occur between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday in the area bounded by the following streets. Our crews will make every effort to restore your service as quickly as possible. Cable TV of York, bringing the future of television to York today.
The Clyde Beatty Cole Brothers Circus, the world's largest circus under the big top, with 3 rings of exciting family entertainment: tigers, bears, horses, clowns, high wire, flying trapeze stars, 3 rings of performing elephants. See the human cannonball, the real circus, the Clyde Beatty Cole Brothers Circus, entertaining generations of Americans for more than a century.
It's at the West Manchester Mall, May 13th through the 15th. Advanced tickets at Mall Customer Service Booth and Circus Ticket Wagon on show days. Free kids tickets at all mall stores. See paper for details, and don't miss it.
Welcome back. I'm Dr. Jim Smolko. This is Medically Speaking. This evening we're talking with Dee Carbaugh, who is the co-chairperson of the York County Coalition of Safe Kids, an organization that is committed to providing a safer environment and teaching us all how to make things a little bit safer for our children. Dee, we were just finishing up the last segment talking about the York County Coalition membership. Maybe you could tell the viewers how they could, if they're interested in a membership, how they would go about doing that quickly.
Okay. We have our contact agency is the Health Promotions Department at York Hospital, and anyone can call 851-3222 and obtain information. We'll send you information, or if you want to become a member, we'll let you know when our meetings are.
Okay, what's the York County Coalition focused on at the moment? What sort of projects do you have going?
We're actually pretty excited. We have 2 main projects right now, and we actually are in our infancy, so we're excited that we can provide some services. Right now we have some smoke detectors that were given to our coalition through a grant through the Pennsylvania level, and they are available through the York City Fire Department, and all you must do is call the fire department and tell them, if you have children under the age of 14 in your home, and they will come out and install the the smoke detector in your home. So we think that's pretty neat.
That's good.
The second program is a booster seat program, and as we had discussed before, the Pennsylvania law has sort of changed or modified that any child under the age of 4 must be restrained in a car restraint system. And once your child gets to be a certain age, they outgrow the infant seats. My child's 2.5 and she's almost there. But so what we've done is we've received monies from, once again, the Pennsylvania level of Safe Kids, and we've obtained 90 booster seats. They will be available through currently 4 loaner programs here in the county. The Spanish American Center, the coroner's office are 2 places. And you will receive an educational, instructional service, and then you will be the booster seat will be loaned to you. That program starts sometime after May 18th.
Good. Well, your focus certainly identifies 2 of the areas that we're concerned about in terms of Safe Kids. Obviously, automobile accidents or motor vehicle accidents.
Right.
We have the booster seats that certainly will help to prevent that. Fires, which injure many children, and for which they have, no blame or fault many times. So why don't we just, to finish up our discussion here, talk to our viewers about any number of things that do jeopardize the health and well-being of our kids, and what we as reasonable adults can do to make things safer for our kids.
Well, first of all is, get on the bandwagon about this, is put your kids in a restraint system if you're in the car. I can't say that often enough, and time and again I see that, people not putting their kids in restraint systems and use them correctly. To avoid drownings, things like if you have a pool, be sure that you put a fence up, know where your children are when they're around the pool, set certain ground rules for your children, let them know what hot means at a very young age, because they'll be pulling things down on themselves if they, hot, that they know not to touch things that are hot or pull things off of stoves. Let's see here. Things like electric cord covers, wearing a bike helmet every time they're either on an ATV or a tricycle. I mean, my daughter, lots of little kids I know have helmets, even when they're on tricycles, to develop the good habit. The habit is what you want to start with kids. Things such as having syrup of Ipecac in your house in case your child would ingest some poison and you call Poison Control Center and they suggest that you have that. You need to have that in your home. Have the Poison Control Center number, which we also have at Safe Kids. Put that right on your phone, so if it happens, you know what to do. You think these things are not going to happen to you and not going to happen to your children, but they do. They happen all the time.
And a lot of this is the common sense stuff, but it's things that you have to think about. Another area that we often see children in is in the yard. Dads like to have their sons on the lawnmower and so on, or even out in the yard when they're working, and that certainly we're not saying you have to lock your children up, or not let them ride bikes or not let them swim, but you do need common sense, and particularly in the yard with power mowers and all that sort of thing. Know where your children are. Certainly if you feel compelled to give them a ride, you've got to know exactly where they are and never have them out of your sight, that sort of thing. So again, back to Safe Kids as the organization, these are the kinds of things that I would imagine your organization likes to deal with, and maybe that's a good place for many of our viewers to start, is to get involved with the Safe Kids. So let's conclude here by telling them once more a little bit about Safe Kids, how they might become a member.
Okay. You can just call Health Promotions at York Hospital. It's 851-3222. We have lots of projects and ideas that we'd like ideas on, and we need people to help us, to give us their input. I can't stress it enough. Like, I have 2 children of my own, and things happen. But I know that many of those things are not accidents. They're unintentional injuries that I could prevent, and all of us need to be educated continually on how to prevent those types of injuries.
Well, Dee, thank you very much. Your commitment to Safe Kids is certainly admirable, and I think all of us out there and here know that things can happen, and we should be aware of them and try to prevent them all. So thank you for joining us. Please join us again next week when we'll present you with a program that, again, we hope will improve your health and your well-being and that of your family and your children. So good night and good health, and we'll see you next week.